So the big question is this: how do you lose all the weight that you want and actually keep it off for the rest of your life, while trying to make sense of all the noise that comes from the weight loss industry? That is the question. And this podcast will give you the answers.
G'day guys, and welcome to the next episode of the Weight Loss Secrets podcast. My name is Baron Grant and I'm wrapped to be with you for another day and some more tips and tricks and ideas that are going to help you to make changes to your life so you can lose all the weight you want and keep it off this time. Keep it off forever. That's what we want, never to put it back on. But we can only do that when you make long-term sustainable changes. Not only changes to your food, but changes to your exercise, your water consumption, and your mindset. That's the biggest one. We've got to change the way we think if we want to have long-term success with this, with losing weight. Now today, I want to talk about the 4 signs that you can look out for in your own head as to whether you have a short-term mindset when it comes to weight loss or not. And this is a real problem because so many people that I speak to have a really short-term mindset when it comes to weight loss, so it becomes an event. And they're going to lose weight for a couple of weeks or 3 or 4 weeks because they say they're going to go on a diet. And so I'm going to talk about 4 different signs that you can know if you're feeling this, or you've thought this, or you've behaved in this way. This will show you that you've got a short-term mindset, and that really needs to shift. Because if you want to lose weight and keep it off, you have to make this decision that I'm going to eat healthy and clean and good and wonderfully for the rest of my life. Remember, that doesn't mean that you can't have something crap. You can, but it can't be as often as what you have to this point. Okay? So, point number 1 is you think it's a diet. And this is quite an overarching point, but I think it's really important. So if you go into this change in your life thinking that you're doing a diet, it will just become another diet. And I'm not probably going out on a limb here to say that those listening or watching this video would think they would have done plenty of diets in the past that they do for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, doesn't matter. But the whole mentality of I'm going to be on a diet is finite. And because it's finite, it means that you're going to go back to the way you ate before. If we want to make long-term change, we can never eat the way that we've done before. That can never happen again. If you want to lose weight and keep it off, the eating before got you to that point. So you can never go, I'm going to go back to what I ate before. I'm going to go back to eating normal. That can't be a thing. That's not a thing. So looking for a diet I believe that's a real short-term mentality. It's how am I going to change the way I eat for good? How am I going to stop being unhealthy and start being healthy? How am I going to make these changes to get to where I want to be? For good, forever, long-term. That's what it needs to be. That's point number 1. That's sign number 1. If you're looking for the next diet, with that mentality of some short-term diet situation of a number of weeks or whatever, that unless it's got a focus to change for the rest of your life, it's probably not the best approach. Number 2, this might upset people. I'm probably good at that. Is when you're starting on it, or whatever you've done in the past or whatever you're trying now, you complain. If you complain about eating healthy food, if you complain that it's not sugary and it doesn't taste good, if you complain that water's boring, if you complain about walking, if you complain about any of this stuff, your mindset is super short, super tight. I'm going to do this for 3 or 4 weeks because I hate it. And then that's it. Don't bother, because you'll lose 2 or 3 kilos and you'll put it all the way back on. And when you complain, that increases your cortisol levels and it makes weight loss even harder. So if you're complaining on the journey, you've got to shift your mindset and start thinking about how good this food is for you as opposed to how hard it is, or how boring it is, or how it's not tasty, or how water's boring and I need soft drink. Give me strength. Nobody needs soft drink. So if you're complaining, that indicates pretty quickly that you might have a short-term mindset because you're not focused on this being a lifelong change. It's like, how can I hold my nose and get through this drink, or hold my nose and get through this food while I'm hating the whole journey? So if you're complaining, that's a good sign that you don't have your mindset in a long-term change. Number 3. Number 3 is looking for the easy option so you don't have to change food. This is my favorite and most important sign that you need to pick up on. What have you done in the past to lose weight? Does it involve shakes? Does it involve special drops under your tongue? Does it involve gummy bears that somehow miraculously melt the fat away? Does it involve surgery? Does it involve wraps around your stomach that, sometimes melt it away? Does it involve any crazy thing that somehow is going to be some silver bullet that's going to change your body? The only thing that's really going to make it change is what we put in our mouths. And so when too often people are looking for this quick and easy way to lose weight, and that is a problem in itself. That's a short-term mindset. Because here's what I want to tell you. None of that stuff works long-term, ever. You might lose a little bit of weight taking a drug. You might lose a little bit of weight, doing meal replacements. You might lose, but unless you change fundamentally the way that you eat and the habits that you have around food, it's all irrelevant because it will all come back on with interest. The amount of people I've spoken to over the years who have lost 30 kilos, 40 kilos, even 50 plus kilos and put it all back on and some because the way they chose to do it was not a sustainable eat healthy approach. It was I'm going to take this fancy thing that's going to somehow make me not hungry, and then I'm not hungry, so therefore I won't eat, and then they pretty much starve themselves to get their weight off, and then it all comes back on when they start eating normally again. So for me, that's why it can't ever be normally again. It's got to be long term. So if you're looking for a quick and easy way that doesn't just involve you changing all your food, it's probably a short-term approach. And so that's my point number 3. Point number 4 is you're losing weight for an event. Now, it could be a very important event. You might be getting married. It might be your daughter's birthday. It might be your Uncle Fred's, 80th birthday. I don't know. It could be any sort of event that you feel is important. It could be going away on holiday in 6 weeks' time and you're like, I've got to get this weight off so I can wear a bikini, or I've got to get this weight off because I'm too embarrassed to take my shirt off. It could be any myriad of events that you've got coming up. But if you're only losing weight for that event, then you'll put it all back on again, because that's not the mindset that's long term of I'm going to be healthy and live in a healthy weight range my whole life, which I think that's a way better place to play. So for an event is not awesome. I was listening to a Tim Zhu podcast on the Howie Games. Great podcast, right? So I'm listening to this Howie Games podcast just the other day while I was working out in the gym. And I felt it was fitting. I'll listen to a boxer while I'm working out, it was perfect. And he told the story about how he used to prepare for fights. And he said it like this. He goes, I'd trim right down to 69 kilos for his fighting weight. And then, he'd do that in the last few weeks or last 6 or 8 weeks or whatever before he fought. But in between fights, he said, I just get fat. That's the way he said it. He goes, I just get fat as I'll just eat whatever I wanted. But then I didn't feel great. And he spoke about how it wasn't comfy, he didn't feel great, and so he totally changed the way that he lived. Now, this is an elite athlete that will go through ups and downs with his weight because he's working so hard, and then he's like, I can relax. But then he found the happy medium where he can stay a good weight and didn't have to work so hard to get it off, and then felt lethargic and stuff because he had to lose it so fast before he fought. But he found this happy medium of just eating healthy. And he still has blowouts. And that's cool during the week, but because most of the week he's eating really well, he's feeling good. But he changed his mindset. So his mindset became, it's not just for the event. I want to be healthy all the time. That helps me with my events, but now I'm going to be healthy every time. And I think we can take out a leaf out of his book where we can go, I'm going to be healthy all the time, so that we don't have to rush to get healthy to go on a holiday. We don't have to rush to get healthy for an event that's coming up. But if your mindset is, I'm going to lose for an event, well, you'll put it back on, if that's what you're losing it for. If you're losing it for health and for long-term longevity and to feel better long-term, and you're ready to make those sort of changes, that's when you're really going to win when it comes to weight loss. So they're my 4 signs. I want you to think about it. Are you feeling one of those at the moment? Are you embracing one of those signs? So number 1 is you think it's just a diet. Number 2 is you complain on the journey. Are you complaining on your journey right now? Whatever journey you're on. So we've got to stop complaining, otherwise we don't win. Number 3 is looking for the easy or quick way where we don't have to change our food. Because changing the food is the hardest part, make no mistake. And the 4th one is, are you just losing for an event? So my thoughts today, if you can feel like you're embracing one of those signs just a little bit too much, then I want you to think, how can I change? How can I avoid that sort of feeling and think about this as a long-term proposition to be healthy for the rest of my life? Because if you do, this will be a long-term change where the weight will stay off. I bet you if you think like that, it'll change like that. You got this. We'll talk soon.